In today's video, we are looking at Alfa Romeo, the Italian luxury car brand that was founded in Milan in 1910. Huge success were found in the brand's early racing days, followed by financial difficulties that led to the company being bought out by the Italian government in the 1930s, and then Fiat in the 1980s. We work through a historic list of Alfa Romeo's most prominent cars, right up to its most recent Stellantis-developed models. In 1910, Alfa Romeo built its first car, the 24 HP. The high-end model used a 42 horsepower, 4.1 litre, four-cylinder engine and had a top speed of 60 miles an hour. A development of this model also kick-started Alfa Romeo's racing story. During the 1920s, they found success in many forms of motorsport. P2 race model won Alfa Romeo 14 major events, including the 1925 World Grand Prix. The Alfa Romeo P2 used a compact 2-litre supercharged straight-8 engine that developed 155 brake horsepower, giving the model a top speed of almost 140 miles an hour. Alfa Romeo launched the 6C and 8C in 1927 and 1931 respectively. The two models had been intended for racing use only, but following high demand, the company eventually began to start offering road-going versions, as well as rolling chassis to coach builders Zagato and Pininfarina. They even rebodied some ex-race cars as road cars. During the late 1920s, Alfa Romeo struggled to cope financially, and in 1933 it was bought out by the Italian government, effectively giving Italian dictator Benito Mussolini control of the company. During the Second World War, Alfa Romeo didn't build many cars, with up to 97% of its production output being dedicated to building military equipment. In 1943, Alfa Romeo's factory in Milan was bombed, with the company struggling to turn a profit for many years after this. 1954 saw the introduction of the Alfa Romeo T10, commonly known as the Romeo. This commercial vehicle was available as a van or a minibus. This model was Alfa's first ever left-hand drive commercial vehicle. 1954 also saw Alfa Romeo launch its first ever mass-market compact model, the Giulietta. Available as a saloon, a coupe or convertible, it was the first car that came with Alfa Romeo's famous twin-cam engine. The engine was initially 1.3 litres in size, with later versions being as big as 2.1 litres. The four-cylinder could be found in various Alfa Romeos right up until 1995. 1959 saw Alfa Romeo start building the Renault Dauphine under licence. The reason for this being that, at the time, Italian cars were taxed on their length, not engine size, a policy that Fiat had convinced the government to take out, with Alfa Romeo's compact four-door model, the Giulietta, being over 4 metres in length. The Renault Source model was a relative success, with 78,000 units being built. 1962 saw the launch of the Alfa Romeo Giulia, a compact executive that, following extensive wind tunnel testing, was one of the most aerodynamic cars in its class, despite its boxy appearance. The model was praised for its lively handling, with its powerful engines being complemented by rear-wheel drive and its 1-ton curb weight. 1965 saw the introduction of the Alfa Romeo GTA, the compact sports car that was used for both racing and road use. It used twin-cam engines from 1.3 to 2 litres in size. The top-spec GTA SA used a 250 horsepower, supercharged 1.6 litre engine. 1966 saw the launch of the first Alfa Romeo Spider. Designed by Pininfarina, its distinctive, striking appearance made the model a design icon of its time, with a long list of celebrity owners, as well as being featured in many adverts, films, and music videos over the years. It was meant to have gone into production 5 years earlier, but financial struggles for both Alfa Romeo and the Italian government led to multiple delays. 1967 saw Alfa Romeo build a limited run of the 33 Stradale model, essentially a street-legal race car that was powered by a 250 horsepower, 2-litre V8. It had 160 mph top speed. At the time, it was the most expensive car on sale in America. 1970 saw the launch of the Alfa Romeo Montreal, a sports car powered by a 200 horsepower 2.6 litre V8. When new, it cost more to buy than an E-Type Jaguar. The Montreal was never actually sold in Montreal, as Alfa Romeo never actually put the model through emission testing required for North America. 1971 saw the release of the Alfa Romeo Alfa Sud. Government-owned Alfa Romeo was under pressure to industrialise southern Italy, with government plans to build a compact front-wheel drive model in their factory near Naples having been in place since the late 1950s. Alfa Sud came available as a 2- or 4-door saloon, a 3- or 5-door hatchback, a coupe, or a 3-door estate. Power came from a range of 4-cylinder boxer engines from 1.2 to 1.5 litres in size. The car was praised for its aerodynamic shape and class-leading handling, traits that came to be from its low-positioned, flat boxer engines. These engines were praised for their power, with critics also impressed by how spacious and practical the Alfa Sud was. The main criticism came from how prone to rust the model was, an issue made worse by the fact that unpainted models were left for months outside, vulnerable to the salty air from the Naples coastline. In total, over 1 million Alfa Suds had been built when production came to an end in 1989. 1983 saw the launch of the Alfa Romeo 33, essentially a development of the Alfa Sud. The 33 came as either a 5-door hatchback or a 5-door estate model. It could even be had with 4-wheel drive. As well as boxer engines from 1.2 to 1.7 litres in size, the 33, unlike the Alfa Sud, could be had with a diesel engine, a 1.8 litre 3-cylinder turbo diesel. To date, this engine remains the largest 3-cylinder ever fitted to a car, and the largest 3-cylinder diesel in history. Alfa Romeo even built a handful of hybrid prototypes that used a 1.5 litre boxer engine coupled to a 16 horsepower electric motor. It could be driven by the engine only, electric power only, or by both at the same time. In electric-only mode, it could hit 40 miles an hour and had a 5-kilometre range on its battery. In 1985, Alfa Romeo launched its last independently developed model, the 75. Named to celebrate 75 years of the brand, in total almost 400,000 were built. The following year, Alfa Romeo was taken over by Fiat, who quickly cancelled development of the 75 Sportswagen. 1987 saw the launch of the Alfa Romeo 164. Styled by Pininfarina, the 164 was an executive model that had been co-developed with the Fiat Croma, Lancia Thema, and Saab 9000. It had already been in development before the Fiat takeover. 1989 saw the introduction of the Alfa Romeo SZ, a high-performance sports car that featured one of the most distinctive designs of the time. Limited to just 1,000 cars, the SZ only came available in red with a black roof and tan interior. Power came from a 210 horsepower, 3-litre V6, with power being sent to the rear wheels. The car didn't come with any driver aids, with the handling being described by critics as terrifying. It could hit 60 in under 7 seconds and had a top speed of over 150 miles an hour. 1994 saw the introduction of the Pininfarina-designed Alfa Romeo GTV and the second-generation Spider. These models shared a chassis with the Fiat Coupe. Top-spec models came with a 240 horsepower, 3.2-litre V6, which could hit 60 in 6 seconds and top out at 160 miles an hour. Jeremy Clarkson described the GTV one of the best sports cars of its time. It also won the 1995 Most Beautiful Car in the World award. This generation Spider replaced the first generation that at this point had been in production for 30 years. In total, 80,000 GTV and Mark II Spiders were built. 1997 saw the introduction of the Alfa Romeo 156. It was the first Alfa Romeo to win the European Car of the Year title. Available as either an estate or saloon, nearly 700,000 156s were built. The model was much better received than the 155 that it replaced, of which less than 200,000 were ever built. The 156 Crosswagon acted as Alfa Romeo's first ever crossover and came as standard with 4-wheel drive. In the year 2000, Alfa Romeo launched the 147. It was their second ever car to win the European Car of the Year title, receiving praise for its design, strong engines, and its engaging handling characteristics. Alfa Romeo even introduced a hot version of the 147 called the GTA, which used a 250 horsepower, 3.2-litre V6. 2003 saw the release of the Alfa Romeo GT, a 2-door sports car that was designed by Bertoni. Bertoni had insisted that it would also build the car, but this was refused by Alfa Romeo's parent company Fiat. Bertoni spiraled downhill following this decision and went bankrupt in 2014. 2004 saw the introduction of the Alfa Romeo 159, a compact executive to rival the Mercedes C-Class. It featured an eye-catching design both inside and out, and was praised for its dynamics and strong engines. Available as either an estate or a saloon, the 159 went on to spawn the Brera Coupe and the third-generation Spider. The 3 models used a bespoke chassis that had been co-developed with General Motors, but General Motors never used it, as it was believed to be too expensive to use on any of General Motors' brands at the time. The Brera Coupe won the Most Beautiful Car in the World award following its release, and is still a sought-after model today. 2007 saw the introduction of the Alfa Romeo 8C, available as either the Competizione Coupe or as the Spider. This model used the 4.7-litre Ferrari V8 and was built by Maserati. Despite receiving over 1,400 orders for the 8C, Alfa Romeo stayed true to its word and only built 500 8C Competiziones, followed by 329 Spiders. The 8C is one of those desirable sports cars of modern times. Despite costing £111,000 brand new, limited production numbers and huge demand for the model has escalated used prices, with the average 8C now valued at £250,000. 2007 also saw Alfa Romeo launch its smallest ever model, the Fiat Gran Punto-based Mito. It came only as a 3-door hatchback, but came with a large variety of engines. This included the 170 horsepower, 1.4-litre turbocharged Quadrifoglio Verde that could hit 60 in 7 seconds, as well as the multi-award-winning 2-cylinder twin-air versions. There was a concept for a GTA variant that used a 240 horsepower turbocharged 1.8-litre engine, as well as a concept that used a hydrogen fuel cell that, when tested, gave up to 300 miles of range on a single tank of hydrogen. Neither of these concepts made production, though. 2013 saw the launch of the Alfa Romeo 4C. To date, it's one of the cheapest all-carbon fibre sports cars that has ever been built. Power came from a 240 horsepower, 1.8-litre engine that could hit 60 in 4 seconds thanks to weighing less than 900 kilograms, while also being capable of over 40 miles per gallon. The model is expected to become a future classic within the next few years, with 10-year-old examples valued at roughly 80% of their brand new £50,000 price. There was even a limited run Alfa Works GT4C that developed 280 horsepower and could hit 60 in a supercar rival in 3.7 seconds and top out at over 170 miles an hour. In 2014, the Fiat Group combined with Chrysler to become Fiat Chrysler Automobiles. 2016 saw the launch of both the Giulia and Stelvio models. Acting as replacements for the 159, the new cars used a brand new rear-wheel drive chassis that could be had with 4-wheel drive in top-spec models. At the top of the range sat the Quadrifoglio. It used a Ferrari-derived 2.9-litre twin-turbo V6 that produced over 500 horsepower. In the Giulia saloon, this was enough to hit 60 in a best-in-class 3.8 seconds, and hitting a top speed of 191 miles an hour, as well as being the fastest to lap the Nürburgring. In 2020, to celebrate 110 years of Alfa Romeo, the Giulia came available in either GTA and GTA M specs. With 540 horsepower, these could hit 60 in 3.6 seconds. Limited to a combined output of 500 units, these special editions cost over £150,000 each. In 2021, Fiat Chrysler Automobiles combined with Peugeot's PSA group to form Stellantis. In 2022, Alfa Romeo launched the Tonale, a compact SUV to sit below the Stelvio and Alfa Romeo's lineup. It was the first ever Alfa Romeo to come available as a plug-in hybrid, a setup which combines a 4-cylinder 1.3-litre petrol engine and a 122 horsepower electric motor mounted on the rear axle to give a combined output of 289 horsepower as well as 4-wheel drive. In 2024, Alfa Romeo launched the Junior, a B-segment SUV to rival the Volvo EX30 and Jeep Avenger. It had originally been planned that the model will use a Milano name, but following an argument between Stellantis and the Italian government regarding the car using an Italian name while being built in Poland, Stellantis decided to rise above government issue and renamed the model Junior. The government tried to ignite a similar issue with Fiat, attempted to confiscate Moroccan-built Fiat Topolinos, as the models wore a small plaque with the Italian flag on their rear bumper. The Italian government even created a raft of new laws to overpower Stellantis, but the self-sabotage move created more issues for Italy than Stellantis, with Chinese, French and American-built Stellantis models pulling a lead in growth over their Italian stablemates, with the Fiat 500e being the worst hit. The Junior is the first ever electric Alfa Romeo. It's also available as a hybrid. The electric model can cover over 250 miles on a single charge, while the top-spec Veloce has 282 horsepower and the ability to hit 60 in under 6 seconds, faster than any of its rivals. 2024 also saw Alfa Romeo launch the 33 Stradale. A limited run of only 33 models, the high-end supercar can either be had with a 620 horsepower 3-litre twin-turbo V6, or it can be had in electric form which combines 3 electric motors for a total output of over 750 horsepower. Due to its seriously limited production numbers, prices are starting at over £2.2 million per vehicle.